Being created in God's image means that we are relational. Is it possible to have a supernatural relationship with another person, or even a cross-cultural relationship that can go on for years? Hi, my name is Cody Archer, and I want to welcome you to this week's Revive Live. I'm so glad that you're joining us for this conversation. Today is going to be super interesting. This is the first time that I have in my studio 3 guests, so I'm personally excited about this. And I want to welcome today, I have Anna Demian, Anni, Shanks, and Sarah Singerman with me. 3 young ladies in your 20s. All of you are single and glowing. I can see all of you are glowing. And the presence and glory of God is on the 3 of you. But we're going to talk about relationships today. And not guy to girl, but we're going to talk about what does it look like in God's kingdom for us to walk in covenant kind of relationships together as friends. Because God He's building this global family. And He's not building it, He's already building it, and He's strengthening it now. And what I see in the 3 of you is something so unique and incredible. And actually, to tell the truth, I can't think of any other 3 people on the earth in under my age, I'm in my 30s, you're in your 20s, that are walking in such a level of closeness and intimacy and deepness in your relationship. And it's so beautiful, and it provokes me, and I believe that our conversation today is going to provoke many other people. So friends, before we jump in and hear from these girls today, I want to ask you to like and share this broadcast. I know it's going to bless you, it's going to provoke you, and we're going to be inspired to go deeper in our relationships after this conversation. Okay, so I want to start with Anna for a second. Anna, you have a father who is very well known, David Demian. He's traveled all around the world. You've been with him on many different times. And I want to hear a little bit of your story, of just who you are, because we hear about your dad. We've heard some of his stories. So just give us a couple minutes who you are, what's brought you to this day. And then I want to hear from each of you. Give us a little introduction.
So I'm Anna. I am one of 7 children. So my mom and my dad, we live in Vancouver. So I'm the 4th of 7 kids. And right now I'm actually studying in Ireland. So I'm studying medicine there.
Wow.
And if you know me, that would not be the first thing that I would do with my life, is to embark on like 8 to 10 years of schooling.
Wow, following in your dad's footsteps.
Yeah, actually my mom and my dad both did medicine.
Oh, wow.
But actually the Lord has really opened the door for me to continue on with education in this way, and yet still be fully involved with my heart for the nations, and to see the Lord's kingdom, and to see the big master blueprint of the Lord moving His puzzle pieces of the nations and cultures being restored and brought back to the Lord. And that's how I've actually met and stayed connected with Sarah and Anni and many, many others. But so my life right now looks like being full-time in studies, as well as the Lord really, like now, opening the door for me to also travel, but not only travel, but to carry His heart for especially my generation, but my generation walking in the fullness of its in the context of family,
so good.
And the greater body. So.
Well, one of the things I love about the 3 of you is you're all second or maybe more generation believers in your family, and there's such a rich deposit that have come from your parents. All of your parents are amazing, godly people who have raised you well. So Anni, let's hear a little of your story.
Well, I grew up with YWAM. My parents are full-time YWAMers, or have been and still are.
YWAM is Youth with a Mission, for anyone that doesn't know who that is.
So very international upbringing, but I grew up in Germany. My dad's from New Zealand, my mom's German, so bilingual. And I'm also like Anna, studying at the moment, studying in Germany, and kind of navigating that lifestyle of doing many things at the same time. But it's interesting when I share sometimes even with my professors or something, I say, I don't see myself only as a student at university. I'm a student in many ways at the moment. And so that's why my investment in the nations, or the way that in relationships and what the Lord is wanting to do, is all part of my studies. It's not I don't see them as separate. Wow. So it's, I really, really enjoy this season.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Sarah, you've been in the studio with me before. For anyone that doesn't know you, let's also hear from you.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah. I'm also one of 7 kids, but I'm the firstborn. I was born in America and grew up on the island of Cyprus with another discipleship training school similar to YWAM, but called Gateways Beyond. And we moved here, my family made Aliyah, and came to Israel about 10 years ago. and I had the privilege of completing high school here, serving in the military for 2 years, going back for a season of discipleship in the nations, and then coming back, connecting with Revive Israel, and just recently finished my studies also to be a tour guide in Israel, because my heart is very much for the land and the people and God's heart for this place, but also for the nations.
Yeah.
And I think it's through people that the Lord builds those connections and bridges and relationships.
Cool. So now you're Jewish, you're New Zealand and German, living in Germany. You're Egyptian, Canadian,
and British.
So we have this like global thing going on. But how do the three of you connect together? What is some of that story?
It all started. So for me, I think I was the newest one to come into the picture. It was in 2016. There was a gathering of the global family in Jerusalem here. And I just showed up not knowing what I was stepping into. But the moment I walked in, my spirit just resounded with a yes. This is a place that's safe, where I can trust the mothers and fathers, and something really felt just right in the DNA of how these people walk with the Holy Spirit and love one another so deeply and authentically. And the Lord really supernaturally just brought Annie and myself into a relationship that we knew would be for life. So that was the first step in the journey for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and Anna and myself met like a year before, 2015, also in a gathering, but in Munich. It was also a global gathering, and for me also the first time to be a part of that. And I don't know, we spent some time together, but it wasn't a lot. I think that our friendship, we connected there, but our friendship really grew and became closer, and we recognized that our lives and our dreams and our destinies are actually linked and interwoven already.
Wow.
And it was more like an unfolding of that rather than building it, you know. And then in the beginning of even our friendship, we even spoke about how cool would it be if our friendship could be a space where other people could feel safe in, that it's not something exclusive, and so it was actually a very conscious thing that we cultivated.
Which you're already thinking outside of yourself in a sacrificial way of how do we build a relationship. I've never really heard someone talk about that.
We love people.
Amazing.
Stories, yeah. So when Sarah, when we met, we had the honor of meeting Sarah a year later. It was just so natural. And actually, we're also a representation of many more that we walk with in a way like this, with hearts connected, and our stories interwoven, and also knowing that our destinies are linked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that, Anna?
I think they said it. I think one of the deepest things that I've received, or that I feel in, as Annie said, this friendship, but also it's in the context of many, many others, is this idea that we're all just a puzzle piece, and that I don't have the full picture. And I think it was one of the first times I actually recognized that, like Annie's piece or Sarah's piece or many others' pieces, I need their piece to understand my piece, and recognizing that their victories and their journeys actually can be mine too, and that we don't have to all fight these battles alone. And so I think that was huge in our friendship, is just like I've never had people that cheer me on in that way, where it's actually like my victories are their own, and I feel it. Like it's like sometimes I'm like crying or travailing for something, and I look over and Annie is like prostrate on the ground, like travailing for the same thing, and it's like, or just like maybe they're not feeling in that same way, but yet they're still there supporting. And I think that has been like incredible to feel and witness that we're intertwined in a different way.
So we all know that today in our generation, loneliness is like this sickness that's filling the earth. There's so many people, mostly because of media, on their phones, using social media. It's like our relationships can become more and more shallow, and we spend more and more time online, less time face to face. Where do you girls find that motivation to actually put those things aside and spend time with each other? Also you're in different places in the world. I know you spend lots of time connecting over Zoom and Skype and phone calls, but your lives are busy. You're studying, you're doing all these different things. Where do you find that time, energy, desire to keep investing into this relationship when life is pulling you in all these different directions?
I love that question. I think authentic connection or something is something we all long for. Every human being on the face of this earth longs for connection and being seen and being known and essentially being safe then in a relationship. And we all know that's, you know, through the Lord first and foremost, and yet He has given us each other to express that through each other. And I think it is there is an element of fighting for connection where you're like, I'm not gonna let go. Like, I love these people and I'm not gonna let go. And there is an investment of choosing that, which boils down to the simple truth that love is a choice, as well as, you know, and your feelings follow then, and or like they're already just easy, like this is easy to love, but there is a choice and investing into each other and wanting to be together. I think
there's also an element that I've come to realize is you can be like, yes, there's like that online that can cause like a barrier, but you can be physically with someone and yet still feel that loneliness. And I think for me, what these friendships have done for me is that we've been very honest and real with each other. I was just saying, like, let's take off our masks. Like, and many times they've come to me and said, like, we want to walk with you, but you're not letting us. And I've been like, I don't know how. Like, don't make me. And just recognizing, like, we do wear masks and we do wear all these like shells and protective barriers, but coming to the place of I think, and it was the sense of like, they have my back. They're not self-seeking. They're actually, they want the best for me. They've shown it time and time again that it gave me the security just to actually let them see who I am. And that's been the most allowed, I guess, the most feeling of connectedness. And then from there, you could, like, several of us actually never even met each other in physical, and yet the connection is so deep because we've made that commitment. Like, we're, as much as we can, let the Lord tear down the walls of our hearts so that we can actually let each other be seen and known in that context. Wow,
that's cool. So Sarah, here at Revive Israel, our leaders talk a lot about covenant relationship. You know, it's a word that gets thrown around. Asher's written a book about it. Is this like something, just a word that's thrown around for you, or does it look like something?
Wow.
It definitely is a word that took on flesh for me, I think, in several relationships in my life where I didn't even know what it was supposed to look like, because a lot of teachings are very, you know, high in the sky, and you're like, wow, this sounds great. I believe in it, I think, but I don't know how to actually step out and do it. And I've really found that there's grace that the Lord opens in every relationship for it to look different, as long as my heart is saying yes and just choosing to keep opening up and keep putting it first and keep, you know, priorities and first things first, and not letting any offense or hurt cover it up and hold me back. Because in any relationship, there's misunderstandings, there's miscommunication, there's people have different time commitments and seasons, and it comes and goes, and everything's a fluid dynamic that's always changing. But just being open always and saying, I'm here for you, you know, I believe in you and I'm going to fight for you no matter what. Even you know, if I'm on the top and you're on the bottom, then I'll be pulling you up, because I know that next time I'll be down there and you're going to have to pull me up.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
Really good. So Annie, is there an end goal or an agenda in you guys building these relationships?
Actually, that was something I wrestled with the Lord sometimes. And we talked about it even in these calls. You mentioned Zoom calls that we have and Skype calls where we get together. And it's like, okay, Lord, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And people are investing time, and I mean, all across the time zones, you know, we have people that are getting up at midnight and staying up until 2, and other people getting up at 4 a.m. from Hawaii. It's just crazy, and you're just like, why are we doing this? And Lord, where are we going? You know, in this time, is there something special? We need to like pray and have this intense intercession time, and then more than once, where the Lord just spoke to my heart in that moment where we're facilitating together. Annie, this is it. This is what I'm longing for. I'm longing for just my family. I just want to be together, and I want you to enjoy each other and get to know each other and let yourself be seen, and let yourself, like Anna said, be seen and then loved, because that's when you really receive it. Then it's not just a word, it's more. And so there's not, the agenda is this, you know, it is relationship. It's that there is no end goal other than growing deeper and allowing that connection to kind of become more and more what the Lord wants in it or through it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Wow. Well, friends, I hope that you're catching what I'm catching today. This is incredible. I can't think of hardly any 20-year-olds, young, beautiful ladies that are talking with this level of maturity. It's crazy, and it also gives me tons of hope for the future, that God is doing something so special in this generation, that these next generation leaders are coming up with such a deep understanding of relationship. They're committed to it. They're putting words to action, or action to words. One of those.
Let's take both.
Let's take both. But they're actually trying to live out what they're preaching and what they believe in their hearts. And this is amazing, and this is inspiring and challenging all at the same time. Just as we're coming to a close, though, I want to also just hear a little bit more of this larger group, this family, global gathering group of leaders. You can give me some language for it. But again, you said it earlier that you're a representation of many others who are jumping in all in to deep relationships. Yeah. Tell us more about this group, and is there a way that other people can come in and join?
Yeah. I just want to highlight what you just said in terms of it being many others with this same heart commitment. I have been absolutely undone seeing the way that people who don't actually know each other that well in terms of I know your mom, I know your that kind of knowing. It's a different knowing of we've allowed ourselves to let the Lord take down the walls and then enter into to see from His perspective and to see each other in that way. And so you have what basically happens is often Zoom calls are the way that we've found the Lord gives us a living room space to connect. So we have a screen of sometimes 20 to 40 different people in there, sometimes waking up at 2 a.m. or waking up at 6 a.m. or in the middle of the day. And their screens are filled with people from all over the world. And we just often start by praying, asking the Lord to really take us up and let our spiritual eyes be open, because if we let our natural eyes be open, it just doesn't make sense. And I went through many times what am I putting my time into? Because sometimes these calls are 4 hours.
Wow.
And so we meet on a Saturday afternoon, and but as we one time it was introductions, but the thing is the Lord uses that to let our hearts be opened. Okay, we hear from the Japanese, what's the Lord doing there? What's he doing in their personal hearts, but also what's He doing in the land? And we hear from one another, and you hear stories of, I was just telling you that one of our friends from China, it was after a long call, and we're hearing all these stories, and then he just says, could I just say something? And he just said, I just want to send my love to Egypt again, because the Lord asked me, it was just a month ago, he said, a month ago the Lord asked me to fly all the way to the Egypt gathering and to just shed my tears on the land as a Chinese person. And he's in his 20s, he's in school also, has many other things he can do with his time.
Yes.
But he paid all the way, went for 4 days, had to leave early just to fly back. And I mean, we're all just Lord, the commitment to love is so deep, and the commitment to let your own selfish desires, so I just want to say that there's many others. We are a physical representation. There are so many around the globe that we're just noticing almost just this people that have a similar heartbeat of Lord, strip me, let me be just a vessel for you to work through. And so they're we often come on calls and it's not please pray for my country, please pray for me. It's how do we engage with what the Holy Spirit is doing? So we may talk about the Chinese for the whole time. We may talk about what the Lord's doing in Brazil. We may talk about the whole thing of walking as generations, but we just let the Holy Spirit take over those times. So with practical things of going back to that, we often meet in Zoom calls, and if this is something that resonates with your heart, you can contact us through the website watchman.org. And then if you just say that we want to get connected with the young people or whatever, all that we do is in the context of family. So we often will have our lovely mothers and fathers that are committed to walking with us, that will also be on the call for 3 hours or 4 hours, and just be committed to venturing that out with us and learning what it looks like to hear the Lord and to move in what He's asking us together.
That's so good. Wow. Is there any story with the necklace? Do you all have the same?
Yes.
Is there?
Actually, do you want to share?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, yeah. So This necklace,
All three of you have the same
each
one?
one of us has a
Oh.
necklace like it, but with
Okay.
our own name. And it
Ah.
was given to us in Egypt by one of our dear sisters there.
Hmm.
And we decided to not carry our own names, but actually to exchange them.
Oh, wow.
So each one of us carries one of the other's names around the globe, wherever we are, in our lifestyle, to just, for me, I personally carry Egypt through it, but also each other as sisters in prayer daily before the Lord. And then it's kind of a sisterhood of traveling necklaces, because whenever we meet up in the world, we actually exchange necklaces. So we carry for a season each other.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time. Annie, I want to ask you just to pray. I believe there's many people that have been, watching, enjoying this conversation, but they're saying, I don't have relationships like that, but I want them.
Yes.
Would you just take a second and just ask the Lord to bring breakthrough, the people,
Absolutely.
connections, whatever's needed to
Yeah.
take us forward in relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Father, thank you so much that you're a God of relationship and that you love family. And Lord, you invented relationships and you long for more of this in your family and in your global body. So we ask now, Father, that what you've given to us as a gift, that you would multiply this, Lord, that right now in this moment for everyone listening to this, that will be breakthrough in their life, that you would connect them supernaturally, divinely with the right people in their life, and that there would be a flow of being able to share their hearts, become vulnerable with each other and let the masks fall.
Yes.
And that there would be a space for true heavenly family connection.
Amen.
So we ask for an increase of that, Lord, and we bless all the relationships that are already happening. And we just, ask for an increase and even more, more and more and more. And we love you, Father. May your heart be blessed through our relationships with each other.
Amen.
Amen.
Wow, so good. Well, girls, it's been a privilege for me to chat with you and hear your story. Keep going. I'm so proud of you. Really, you are forerunners in our generation of modeling something that really brings pleasure to the Father.
Wow.
So keep up the good work.
Thank you
And
so
I'm
much.
challenged by you, and I believe that you're probably challenged as well. So let's keep going after kingdom relationships. There's not an end goal, but we're enjoying one another, and that enjoyment is bringing pleasure to the Father. So guys, thanks for joining us on this week's Revive Live. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.